Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and brand new video. Guys, what if I told you that while we have all been distracted by the elections, AI hype and celebrity drama, the biggest powers on earth have quietly made the moves that could reshape the global balance. The US is suddenly warming up to Iran. President Trump, yes, President Trump is throwing new sanctions at Russia with surgical precision. China just got a tech tariff exemption that could change the next iPhone. And in Moscow, a scandal over luxury golf carts is exposing Russia's elite like never before. I know it sounds the random, but these aren't the isolated headlines. They are the chess moves, part of a global game unfolding right now. Quite fast and brutal, right? So in this video, we are connecting the dots because these moves, they are about more than the trade deals and sanctions. They are about shaping the next decade of power. So let's break it down all in this video. So, guys, while most of us have been arguing about the TikTok bans and AI girlfriends, the world's most powerful player have been plotting their next geopolitical plays, and some of them already has happened. So let's start with something that would have been unthinkable a few years ago. The United States and Iran are talking quietly, carefully, but they are talking. So it's not a handshake on live TVs, it's a back channel in Vienna, quiet sit downs in Oman, whispers in European intelligence circles. And why? Because the Middle East is on the edge once again. Gaza is still a power cake. Hezbollah's been active. The Red Sea has seen more missiles than the cargo ships lately, and Iran, it's hurting economically and politically. Their currency is collapsing, their people are protesting, and the regime is doing everything it can to keep the lid on. That makes this perfect moment for Washington to slide in and say, let's talk. Not as friends, but as pragmatists. Even Trump's administration, yes, Trump back in the White House sees the writing on the wall. Another major war in the Middle East would be a disaster, not just for the region but for American energy prices, military budgets, and global perception. And while that diplomacy is quietly unfolding, Trump isn't sitting still. In fact, of his first decisive foreign policy moves this year was something many didn't expect. He escalated sanctions on Russia. Now, let's pause for a moment because Trump's relationship with Russia has been a microscope. Critics, pundits, and late night hosts have turned it into a punchline. But now, back in the power, Trump seems determined to flip the script. So, how these new sanctions? They are not just symbolic, they are targeted, financial, and aggressive. New blocks on Russian banking proxies, tighter restrictions on high tech imports, and expanded bans on energy partnerships that Moscow relies on. And the kicker is, this time the messaging is crystal clear. This isn't the 2017 Trump. This is 2025 Trump. Post January 6, post indictments, post political rebirth. He has learned that foreign policy is a perception, and by coming down hard on Russia, he is trying to control the narrative. I am not Putin's puppet. I am in one tightening the leash. Meanwhile, Beijing just got a break most people didn't see coming. In a quiet move by the US Trade Office, barely even reported on mainstream outlets. China was granted exemptions on several high tech tariffs. We are talking semiconductors, EV components, AI chips, the backbone of future industries. And before you start thinking there has been some softening between the Washington and Beijing, no, this isn't about the diplomacy, it's about the inflation. American companies are bleeding from high production cost. Supply chains are still shaky, and the 2024 holiday season reminded DC of something very simple. Voters don't like the expensive gadgets, so the administration made a move. Quietly, no big announcements, no rose colored pressures, just a quiet shift to help manufacturers and cool prices. And this move tells us something more important. Decoupling with the China sounds great on cable news, but in reality, the US and China are still tangled at the hip. The market would let them fully separate. But now let's take a turn because while the US, Iran, China, and Russia are making serious power plays over in Moscow, we have got a story so absurd it sounds made up. Russian luxury golf carts. You can't make this up. Investigators in Europe and leaked reports from inside the Kremlin show that top the Russian officials have been importing luxury electric golf carts through the fake companies in Turkey, the UAE, and even Cyprus. Some of these carts cost more than the most people's cars. Yes, they are customized. Leather interiors, suspiciously long battery ranges. So these aren't just for the golf, they are for getting around palatial estates and secure compounds. So why is this a big deal? Because these imports, along with the yachts, jets, and high-end goods, were banned under the Western sanctions. But as usual, the Russian elite found a loophole, and this time the public found out. Social media exploded. Telegram channels also lit up. Even some state friendly journalists couldn't help but comment. In a country where most people are struggling to pay for the food or fuel, images of generals and oligarchs zooming around in tricked out golf carts hit differently. It's not just a scandal, it's a symbol of how disconnected the Russian elite are from their people, a symbol of how ineffective some sanctions enforcement has been, and a warning to the West that luxury finds a way. But here is the deeper truth. These stories aren't isolated, they are all part of a global rebalancing. The US is trying to manage the Middle East with diplomacy, not boots on the ground. Trump is back and he is flipping the foreign policy script, looking tougher, sharper, and more strategic than many expected. China is still deeply tied to the American economy, no matter how much Cold War language gets thrown around. And Russia's dealing with a crumbling economy, a widening elite public divide, and a regime that's scrambling to maintain image at any cost, even if it means golf carts. So, guys, what does this all mean? It means the world order isn't breaking apart, it's being rewired. Behind every quiet deal, every sudden tariff exemption, every viral scandal, there is a bigger game being played, and the players know the rules have changed. Power today isn't just about the tanks or nukes, it's about the control of resources, trade, perception, and influence. The strongest empires of this decade will be the ones who adapt fast, negotiate quietly, and hit hardest, economically and diplomatically. So, the next time you see a weird headline about sanctions, tech deals, or golf carts, pause. Because underneath that surface level absurdity, there might be a massive geopolitical shift unfolding. If you made it this far, congrats, you just got a front row seat to the global chessboard. So, guys, these stories might got trend on Twitter, but they shape everything from gas prices to elections to the next global crisis. So, guys, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and always follow the money because in 2025, power doesn't always roar, sometimes it hums. in a luxury electric golf cart. So make sure to subscribe for more deep dives like this, and I will see you in the next one.